following material may contain sex, coarse language, and violence.
Be discreet, Master.
Thank you. Before you ask, I've already asked. I'm not allowed to ask, so here we go. Just so before you start asking.
What are we asking?
What's on the other levels that he's been clearing out? I already talked to him about that the other day, so I'm not to ask.
Yeah, don't ask.
Don't ask.
They're surprises.
Yeah, so they will turn up when they turn up. So
corner, but nothing dangerous, unless you consider falling into a lake full of chocolate dangerous, or becoming the size of a giant balloon dangerous, or
It's Willy Wonka's factory!
or if you perhaps think maybe being turned into a very tiny person whose lungs somehow still work, dangerous.
Or
Or if you think being sent ricocheting into the air in a glass box, dangerous.
That's much similar to our cannon. We just don't have the glass box to keep us safe.
actually, that would be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
Right, what are you doing? Anything? Going home, sleeping?
But still only probably, 8 o'clock at 9 o'clock?
8, 9 o'clock, you guys talk for 3 hours.
Right, we want to shoot to the base and at least
You are in the
start
base.
the other base.
The original base.
Oh, the Burning Sands base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still have to get our shit moved out of there.
Plastics Advisory Board, other...
Plastic advisory board.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Use the tunnel while it's there.
Well, if we start from this end and then work our way towards White Sands.
Yeah. And we'll start. What are we stripping the rail out or
Things.
just things?
Yeah. So I'll take 2 construction robots with me.
Oh, okay. How are you smuggling them
They're quite big, aren't
into
they?
the plastics of... they're about the size of a large van.
That's right,
And
so-
very obviously robots.
I'll leave them there because we're going to have to bring the truck back to get them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So
So you're going to go there and start doing it. Okay, cool. We don't need to step through that, do we?
We do a bunch of
So-
hours of that.
yeah, there'll be, if it's the only thing I do, there'll be 3 hours of that
Okay.
only.
So what? How are you initiating this?
I'm going to transform into Evil Genius.
Okay. Okay, so 8 guys in like those little barrow boy hats, the cloth beret sort of thing, and suspicious bulge coats appear, cracking their knuckles and jawing at each other. And like there's in a charcoal grey suit with a red shirt and striped tie is a black guy with a goatee beard and an afro. And he has like driving gloves on and he's like just silently regards you because he is a mute and cannot talk.
This tunnel needs to be removed.
You'll turn around to the other minions and go, "Ah!"
Start at the far end, put a wall, and then we build it back this way, removing the track and all.
Aha! The minions will scatter to it. You'll just be like,
We'll also need to fill it back in, so we're near a sand base. Try not to take it all from one spot. And this is-
like a mute.
I'm going to be tinkering on things now.
Your evil genius name is Oddfeld.
Thank you.
And of course, your minion here is Blowjob.
You're laughing, but what else would you do when you play a game? What would you do?
I'd mix Oddjob and Blowfeld's names. There you go, Brendan.
There you
It's
go.
worth showing up now.
One every session.
What a blowjob. Not from Brendan.
Oof.
Too much hair.
I'm not dog
Yeah, let's
enough.
pull the hair back before we...
Oh no, it might be something to hold on to.
Right, okay, so 3 hours, then you're done. I'm guessing you guys are helping in what ways you can. She's
Yeah, I'm
getting in the way.
I'm trying to think of how I can even help.
You can't. Okay, cool. You go home, you go to bed. Right?
Ice cold drinks.
Yeah, nice government. Yeah.
I'll go stay with the chief this night.
The chief.
Hmm.
The chief?
The elder.
Oh, the elder. Okay. So you'll arrive at his teeth and be like, well, hey, look who showed up at late at night. Let me guess, you want a place to crash, huh?
Well, yeah, but I was wondering how you had been.
Oh, beans. Man, I remember them. Those were great.
Beans. I ate too many beans.
It has been difficult, what with everything. But I have reminded myself of the ancient wisdom of my people. I have kept myself alert as a deer wandering through the valley of lions. Not unalert, like an American voter in Georgia.
I don't suppose you're ready to be convinced to go and visit the Sharmaconda.
I cannot get along with their ways. It is strange to me. Besides, I have always been here. Well, not specifically here, but alone and solitary, amongst the desert, where I can commune with the spirits of nature more, and get high as balls. Holy fucking shit, you don't even know.
Well, I think I do know.
No, you don't. Trust me.
Oh. Oh no, I left Fluffles and George.
Please tell me George isn't a friend of yours, and you have left your little rabbit friend in him.
Well, I mean, George is a friend, but he is also a car.
Oh, awesome. That is very cool. Like Bumblebee. No, Bumblebee is not cool. Like Optimus Prime, but he was a trick. Oh shit, I don't know about any of these. They don't exist because the original models were made in Japan. They gotta send any of this. That doesn't happen. That's not canon.
He's smoking too much.
Guys who can also be cars. That'd be awesome. Perhaps the 80s should have done something about that, but didn't. It reminds
Knight
me of...
Rider!
I was going to say, was Knight Rider going to be a little too on the nose?
Excuse me.
Also
Knight
keep in
Rider.
mind
That's what George is.
George is literally that.
That is Light Rider.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Anyway, pull up a sock and sit down.
What's up? Got a log?
Yeah, whatever. Would you like a picture of Queen Victoria?
Why do you have those?
For smoking.
Oh yeah, sure.
Here you go.
Well, he's making pounds.
Next morning. It's Tuesday. The news is abuzz with the theft and then explosion of liquid nitrogen on the highway. Political commentators are like, this is why Hillary Clinton should be made God Emperor, as was clearly indicated by the Founding Fathers.
God damn you, Xander.
The mysterious virus in China has apparently suffered a major setback when terrorist groups who were attempting to use it as a biological weapon were thwarted by a multinational task force, of course headed by America and using only American personnel, we perhaps might believe. America is to be celebrated with some kind of big award that you will never hear about, but that's just because of conspiracies. America's great and the only nation worth a shit. In other news, rumors of an Atlantean have been spotted in Cold Rocks. This apparently imposing man was used to be known as the Bronze Trident and is a former member of the Adequate Six. You will know him by his incredibly arousing bare chest and tight ass. Also, he's carrying a big bronze trident with 5 tines.
Let's not try.
That is literally a weakness of me. He cannot identify tridents. In other news,
Trident
Soviet...
if it's got more than
Yeah,
three.
no, it's
That's the joke. That's
the
Welcome
joke.
to the party.
no, it was.
Sorry,
it
I
was
was
made.
La La Land for a minute.
It was made by somebody else on a very bad movie.
Oh, you haven't...
I've seen it.
See
Yeah.
what I mean by it? It's just explosions and screaming. It's such an exhausting watch.
Yeah. Oh, and let's drink, get drunk, and drink some more, and
Stephen, I find it hard to believe you think of that as a problem.
I drank last.
Wouldn't drinking make that film more tolerable?
Yeah, probably yeah, it would.
Yeah, especially if you play the drinking game when they scream drink.
Oh no!
I live sclerosis.
So what movie is this?
Aquaman! You know, it's where the writers can't figure out how to end a scene, so they have something explode.
Yeah.
So it's a Michael Bay film?
He would have been a good director for that. It's not completely awful, but it is very... Because it's just action, we want action, non-stop action. God, it's exhausting.
They shouldn't have added Mantis into it.
Yeah, he should have been his own film.
Thank you. Yeah.
But anyway, back to your exciting superhero adventures. Hope they never stop. Toot toot, all aboard the fun train.
I'm going to work.
Okay, who of you is going to be contacted by Mr. X in the middle of your work?
I won't say no to that.
Okay, your communicator goes beep 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 beep.
Brush out back. Yes?
I have some information on a way you might be able to track the Black Rose Syndicate's operations.
Oh, that'd be handy.
This information came at a great cost.
Oh no, those poor Bothans.
What?
No. Sorry.
It might be possible for you to construct or make available a rare element tracking device. Which we have identified a rare element that you wouldn't normally find just lying around in great quantities. So if you're able to track down a source of yttrium that is significantly large, you might be able to have found where they are. So.
Okay, I'll pass that on. I don't know if we can build a yttrium detector, but...
I have my third finest engineering team working on the project, but I thought if you had a faster way. Like if you had a sorcerer or something that could cast a special perceptions, let's say Senses 3 range detect yttrium might be good. Which also is like if you had, if Black Knight was around and you
I was going to say...
oh no, thank you, full as an egg.
I was going to say he's got that I can create... Oh, I wouldn't say no. Just a random object that'll last a certain amount of time, but we don't have that.
You've changed the flavour.
The place that we might be able to get something that can do something like that at the infamy place. We haven't been and checked our balance yet.
Have you tried that?
Do I know if we know
no,
how to
thank you.
get there properly?
I don't want to become a diabetic.
Because we can use the pocket D to get there, right?
Oh, is there anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Contact the others. Beep, 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 beep.
What was that noise? Says Candace, peering over the thing. I have plenty of work to do, and therefore I'm wasting my time building little rubber band firing contraptions.
The void.
Doing.
Ow! Oh,
You forgive me because I'm female. It's how that works.
I'll go to the bathroom.
Power move from the Magruder. Time to move up to ball-bearing flinging trebuchets. Wood.
Hello?
Gamer, it's Soviet. I just got contacted by Mr. X. He said that if we could create a machine that can detect yttrium somehow,
Or is it yttrium? Whatever, yeet.
then we might be able to use it to... Might be able to use it to find...
That sounds logical.
He's got his men already working on it, but he told us in case we knew of a faster way of detecting it or had some other means.
There's actually only one, at this moment, there's one person that you might be able to talk to about that.
Hmm?
And since I'm spending quite a bit of time as him...
Hello. You were, of course, referring to her technology magnate boyfriend, sexual chocolate Anthony Smith.
Oh no,
That'll work.
she asked us nicely not to ask about him, so I will not. I was talking about my evil genius because that's a perfect thing for him. He would go, actually,
Does it have the inventor perk? Because that would work. Would work.
it doesn't. But again, it might by next week.
Like that. It'd be like that, huh?
I can respec it because I might be able to add that skill. We box it.
And begin.
Oh no.
Forgot the popcorn.
Spooge Clown Jiggles the Fatuous People. 1. Slowly, solemnly, his ass descended towards the short stool which would decide his fate. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back a bit. Just a day. We wouldn't want you to kill your grandfather before you were born, or some other thing people do when time traveling. We'll go back a day. Try not to do anything which might result in 50 Hitlers crapping all over my bathroom. It wasn't like he had asked to be a clown. Actually, he had. But he hadn't asked to be a clown called Spooge Clown. Who would? Who wakes up one morning and says to themselves, aloud or in their heads, "From this day forth, I shall be known as Spooge Clown." It's almost too inane to be real. It borders, one might say, on fatuous. Spooge Clown. He wasn't called Spooge Clown yet, but there is no point in learning his old, less clowny name, so we shall call him that throughout. Spooge Clown had in fact awoken one morning and said to himself, "That's it!" As the whitewash dripped from his all-too-skinny frame, his parents' hooting laughter ringing in his ears, I shall have no more opening the door and being drenched. An inflated bladder on a stick bounced off his head. I shall have no more squirting buttons. He stalked out of the house, a tidy 2-bedroom, and spread him, specifically Butley, spread him, which is just by the Coxwolds outside of London. A task made easier with his small ordinary shoes and well-fitted pants, the shame of the family. He made a beeline for the dull grey trailers of the travelling accountants, which roved around England, helping small businesses and people with personal financial questions, and certainly not hurling pies or spraying soda water around silly-nilly. Ever since he had seen the economic forecast on the evening news as a lad, Spooge Clown had dreamed of being an accountant. He imagined himself making numbers dance across the pages of a big company's records, neatly avoiding doing anyone any benefit by paying taxes or creating money out of nowhere for the colossal bank that already had enough money. He used to laugh in glee at the idea of creating a huge mortgage bubble which could tip the whole economic system into a cocked hat by approving unsecured lending to those who could never possibly pay it back. Such things made him feel happy deep down in his soul. It is this that makes Spooge Clown a rather unexpected protagonist and an unlikely hero. He was a real banker at heart. Here he stood before the accountant's little trailers. I have to make a good impression, he said in his most serious voice, the most serious voice a young man raised by clowns to be a clown can have. This was his second mistake. His first was not washing off the whitewash. His third was walking in a pompous heel-toe clown walk up to the open-sided trailer, where even now a beleaguered accountant was trying to explain why that extra loaf, what our young Arthur brought back from to market, wasn't a dependent. It all happened with clown-like precision. The heel-toe designed for big floppy shoe made him look like he was walking over invisible holes. The tilt of his head skywards caused him to not notice the small hole which he stepped in, causing him to stumble forwards and roll into the bigger mud puddle. Everybody laughed, because seeing others' discomfort, pain, and humiliation is innately funny to everyone all across the universe who haven't had a funectomy. Even to accountants who have no real sense of humour. The head accountant had, of course, assumed the request for an apprenticeship by the whitewash and mud-covered clown to be yet another hilarious joke. Spooge Clown took off his wig and nose and schlepped home. It rained the whole way because nature hates clowns. The next day, his father, deciding he could not risk him running off again, took him off to clown college. It was actually Foswanger's School of Jesters and Joculators? Joculators. The most prestigious school for young harlequins and pratfallers. His father announced in a nostalgic silly voice, as expected, he began singing the school song. Following the song, he announced, "One more time." This happened 5 times. Spooge Clown died a little inside, as most people do when clowns do just about anything. Finally, Spooge Clown was dropped off at the station, where he would be taken to Foswangers, where he would have a real clown made of him. One by one, the clown students-to-be were packed into the tiny clown car, which would take them to Foswangers. Spooge Clown ended up sitting next to a young clown called Beano, and by the nature of clown cars, he was also next to Boffer, Callie the Happiness Clown, Pennyfall, Clappenstance, and Rosh. Of course, he wasn't called Beano yet, but as I have said, no reason to commemorate his original self. What is important is that he conformed. Beano, it was revealed, was the son of the famous clown Beano. You can see where this is going, so I won't bore you. Outside Foswangers, the new students gathered together in a disorganized mess. So me da's expecting me to take oop his name like, said Beano in a bright voice. Oh, SpoojClan replied. My dad is still using his. Will I be thrown out? No fear, Beano replied. They'd never dare throw out Boffo, son. So it's true then, said a young man. Scuttlebutt in the clown car was a runaway accountant. The famous Boffo son is finally taking up the baggy pants. Obviously, this would be the antagonist, judging by the way the neat young boy sneered at SpoojClan, while foreclosing a poor granny's mortgage and casually eating a baby Labrador pup. He confirmed it by adding, for no good reason, I'm going to kill you. The headmaster, Dr. Serious, a stern, white-faced clown in white, addressed the young clowns to be. Normally, you would all be divided into one of 4 houses. However, Ronald McDonald House has been removed as the school no longer feels it can accept charity from a company clown who forces people to eat unhealthy food. Literally forces them. Dragon Fang House has been removed because its name is just far too cool and might force young clowns to imagine dragons are real, because it's a bad thing somehow. SpoojClan rolled his eyes. So you have all been placed in Wobblebum House, because dignity happens to someone else. He paused. All except for Accountant, because, again, we don't need to know the boy who ran away from the accountant's name, who of course is in Pennywise House, because he is evil. Dr. Sirius eyed the students, and insanely murderous, and we're not going to do anything about it. He gestured into the big stone castle-sized tent. Now, if you all proceed to the centre ring, you will be given your clown names by the naming seat. The naming seat was a forlorn stool with an inflated bladder upon it. The young clown aspirant would sit, and it would somehow belch out his name. SpoojClan suspected it was a trick somehow. One by one, the students were placed upon the stool, and dutifully the bladder burped their names. Beano, Blart, Homie the Clown, Accountant, Smiles the Clown, and so on. Finally, it was his turn, and we returned to normal time, see? That wasn't so bad. Solemnly, slowly, his ass descended towards the short stool, which would decide his fate. Later that evening, after the laughter had died down, SpoojClan sat at the end of his bed. He remembered slipping and rolling back into the stool, his rear settling on the pressed flat end of the bladder. And a hilarious farting noise was supposed to come out. Spooge! It blurted, trying to empty properly, but being blocked by the majority of his weight, finally spreading out from under him to hit the far wall with a dejected clown. The headmaster was furious. He had scolded him for trying a pratfall without proper instruction, but he had allowed the name SpoojClan because, judging from the adolescent laughter, it was a very funny name. He and Beano were the only 2 student clowns awake. They had been discussing what drove them to clowning. SpoojClan had explained it was his father, Boffo, who drove him in that he had not wanted to be a clown at all. I had posters of stock market trends and everything, and a little banker action figure where you pull the string and he'd say things like, I'm sorry, we have to foreclose, and the government should protect the institution from its own mistakes, and other such financial market phrases. Wow, said Beano in that tone of voice people use when they wished they were anywhere else. But father wouldn't have it, he roared. No son of mine is going to be useful. Beano shrugged. I was kind of the same when I was young. I wanted to be a video game salesman, but me da said no son, or his was going to sell them X-Bones. He said, imagine some young lad opens up his Christmas present and finds a bone. You'd be lucky he don't declare blood vengeance. Right there. And he were right to. I couldn't bear to be such a monster. Beano wept with second-hand remorse. It was while the young clowns of Wobblebum House were having this conversation that accountant's money and political maneuvering had pre-approved him for the job, Colwing for the Dothraki? In another series, obviously as a student, he wasn't very good. Also because he was evil, he wasn't very good. He wasn't very good. Nevertheless, the whining prat travelled with them, demanding better entertainment befitting a true king. So the powerful and stern leader poured molten silver all over accountant's head, declaring clown for king. The next morning, everyone learned that clowning was serious business. As SpoojClan left the dormitory tent and espied 2 fatuous clowns pompously debating with each other, presumably perfectly ordinary clowns, the subject of the debate is immaterial. All we need to know is that SpoojClan was so moved by it that he walked up to them and jiggled the fatuous ones. The end. Epilogue. Accountant found a burning anger, also a burning head, but it was the anger which, when combined with his evil, allowed him to live. Slowly, painfully, he rose, his gleaming silver head reflecting the firelight. From this day forth, he proclaimed, I will be Jestro. Of course, because his head was enclosed in silver, all anyone heard was,